Hello, good evening and welcome to Camnet TV Main News. My name is Jeffrey Yambo to present. And top stories in the news tonight. Given LUBINDA geared for court proceedings in his corruption case. Speaker of the National Assembly urged for expelling PF MPs. Government exhibits policy inconsistency on street vending. And in international news, hunger crisis threatens half of Somalia's young children. And in sports news, wheelchair basketball underperforming in Zambia because of inadequate equipment.
Camnet TV is becoming big and better. You can now watch Camnet TV wherever you are around the world, simply by downloading the Camnet TV app. With Camnet TV app, you only use less bundles. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Now the news in detail. Street vendors in Lusaka's central business district have continued to occupy unauthorized trading spaces despite the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development recently demanding that they leave the streets. Local Government Minister Garing Kombo alleged that this was one way of restoring sanity in the central business district. A check by Camnet TV has, however, revealed that the CBD is still filthy and full of litter being caused by vending. More in this report.
Year after year, street vending has remained a major topic in the informal sector, but the problem has prevailed, an indicator that no permanent solution has been found for the same. 3 months after street vendors were told to vacate the streets by Minister of Local Government and Rural Development Mr. Garing Kombo, the business has come back across all streets in Lusaka in full swing. A check by Camnet News Tuesday morning also revealed that this has in turn resulted in filth around the CBD, as street vendors do not have proper methods of waste disposal near their stands. Sanitation concerns have also been arising, as street vendors do not have formal toilets that are found in marketplaces. The vendors, however, insist that they will continue coming back to the streets as they have no other means of survival for their families and no marketplaces to trade from.
Market yenene kuti tigurisire mama ndikulipana market yenene ametiza kulisira mama ona so ifunika so chapi mwenda kusoko tunshaba ni kurodi kutama kadi yense unako tunshaba agulako ari yense mosi yana maona so mai pamina zamba kuti tatipisha muna mu street tizaenda kuti tizata mangira kuti manje ndrama zavuta so batiranga nire kwa tikire ko chenzelu chabe atisia ku street tizigulisa uko kweta tukwe so mwandi ni uteko bakutubuka tupisha mu musego first batubuka fwaire ko market kwa tiko bakatubuka kantu ngata batupisha tatoka mone bakulisha bana ero kaita tukwe kwa kwa nangu kumo so abo bale foto ntonga yo kupisha mu musego batubelele ko musego tena pyanga tunakirina sata daily ocean mwa pyanga mwebele kirina kwewe tumakirina.
Union leaders in the trading sector, among them Lusaka Union of Marketeers Secretary General Mr. Moffat Mangoni, have been calling for vacant market spaces to be identified and new markets created as one way of phasing out the trend.
If they can facilitate a platform where we can work together and identify and audit some empty spaces in these markets, it will be very easy to mop out the street vending and put them into the right position. So the one problem is that we are pleading with the government to identify the stakeholders like the Second of Marketeers to work with so that this problem can be sorted out.
Stakeholders in this sector argue that it is only when this is done that policies on street vending will be effective, as the current status of chasing them off the streets will remain ineffective without finding alternatives for these entrepreneurs. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
The Constitutional Court has ruled that the 9 Patriotic Front members of Parliament whose elections were nullified by the High Court but appealed must remain in Parliament. Delivering judgment Tuesday morning on behalf of other judges, Judge Palan Molonda ruled that that an MP whose election has been nullified by the High Court but appeals the said judgment, according to law, retains the seat in Parliament pending the determination of the appeal. Judge Mlonda says the article of the Constitution touching on a subject ought to be read together with Article 73 Cap 4 and must be read in full view of Article 73 Cap 3, which makes provision for an appeal. This is in a case in which the Law Association of Zambia had cited the Attorney General and was seeking an interpretation provision of the Constitution which the Speaker of the National Assembly, Nelly Muti, used to stop Opposition Patriotic Front members of Parliament whose elections were nullified from attending any parliamentary proceedings. Laz further wanted to know what happens to such MPs despite them appealing to the Constitutional Court challenging the decision.
High Court nullifying his or her seat, then that Member of Parliament retains the seat until the Constitutional Court has made a decision on the appeal. What this means then, for purposes of clarity, is that the Speaker's decision to ask the Members of Parliament to leave the House was not correct, according to the way the court has interpreted. And so those Members of Parliament are entitled to remain in the House until their appeals have been determined by the Constitutional Court. That is the clear reading of the decision of the Constitutional Court, which binds everybody. So as the Law Association of Zambia, we feel that a grey area has been made clear, and you heard that there's a call by the Constitutional Court for the laws to be amended to be made clear on this, as it has made its determination.
Patriotic Front Acting President Given Lubinda has challenged the judiciary and the state to prepare evidence for the corruption case leveled against him. Addressing the media Tuesday morning, Mr. Lubinda says he does not want to see the tendency of adjournments when the matter comes before the courts of law. Mr. Lubinda says he is happy that the state has accorded him an opportunity to defend himself, claiming that he does not own the properties the SEC alleges belong to him. The Anti-Corruption Commission Monday arrested and charged Patriotic Front Acting President Given Lubinda for corruption involving more than 539,000 United States dollars. More in this report.
The opposition Patriotic Front has charged that it is not shaken following the continued arrests of its members. Monday, 21st March 2022, the Anti-Corruption Commission, ACC, arrested and charged Patriotic Front PF Acting President Given Lubinda for corruption involving more than 539,000 US dollars. Mr. Lubinda, who recently dared law enforcement wings to pounce on them if they have cases to answer, says what is happening is tantamount to denting the image of the former ruling party, claiming that charges conferred on him are baseless.
The statement made yesterday by ACC is nothing but malicious. Extremely malicious. And I'll explain why. Number one, they have given me property which I don't own. I do not own $539,000. No, sir, I don't own it. At least not that $539,000 they're giving me. I don't own it. They say I have a house in Kingsland. I don't own any house in Kingsland.
Mr. Lubinda since predicted that more of their members will be arrested and has since challenged the state to prepare a strong case against him to avoid what he termed as unnecessary delays.
And please, I want to appeal to the judiciary. Over this matter on the 21st of April, let's start. Sinifuna vakuti magistrate adwala like what is happening with Mumbipiri. No. Please line up 3-4 magistrates in reserve. Uina Kadwala, number 2 must come. 21st of April, let's start. And please, Anti-Corruption Commission, DPP, prepare your case. Sinifuna 21st April tikaenda. No, the state is not ready. No. You effected an arrest yesterday. You arrested me yesterday. You are ready. So 21st April, let's go. Igemuke tione. And
when asked about being crybabies, considering that the fight against corruption has been handled in a similar manner by past administrations, Mr. Lubinda had this to say.
So please don't refer to us as crybabies. We are not. Mwatede. We are not crybabies. Our concern and the concern of society is that all of us, for as long as we are associated with PF, we are painted with the same brush. All of us are thieves. Who hasn't been questioned? Who?
And Mr. Lubinda said the party has been vindicated following the ruling passed by the Constitutional Court on PF members of Parliament who were suspended by the Speaker of the National Assembly, Nelly Muti, for having their seats nullified by the High Court.
That the PF members of Parliament whose seats were nullified by the High Court but appealed should remain in Parliament. And this is a ruling of the Constitutional Court.
Patrick Soko, Camnet News in Lusaka.
The ruling United Party for National Development UPND candidate Nyambe Muyumbana has successfully filed in his nomination papers for the council chairperson by-election slated for the 14th of April 2022. Speaking to the press shortly after filing in his nomination, Mr. Muyumbana has explained that his vision for Mongo is to make it better as enshrined in the policies and manifesto of the UPND. Others who also successfully filed in nominations are Francis Mundi from the Patriotic Front, Kamuti Kamwengo from the Party for National Unity and Progress, and Leadership Movement candidate Brian Mwemba. The by-election was necessitated following the death of Mongo Mayor Nyambe Matakala in a fatal accident on the 24th of February 2022.
We are not coming to bring a lot of new things, but we are coming to add on what is already there. You know that our UPND manifesto is number 2 to none. So we are basically going to localize it and ensure that the people of Mongo benefit from the new Dawn government. We have a lot of issues that we are going to tackle in Mongo, but as we're moving forward, we also want now to thank you, the press, and everyone that has managed to come to escort us.
As a councillor, as a mayor, that's what we've been asking our president. And I want to say that I want to thank him that, again, he has shown leadership, he has given to what we wanted as a youth, to ensure that a young person should take over again so that we can see development in Mongo district. Going forward, I want to assure the people of Mongo that there will be no violence here. There will be no violence here. We will live as one people, all of us. We are one people who campaign for all political party. Anybody that has done nomination here, we are saying, let's go and campaign. Let the people themselves choose the party which they want. So I'm assuring you people that there will be no violence here. But I'm not saying that to provoke the UPND youths. No, I'm not saying that. But let's work together to ensure that the most thing which all of us we are facing in this country as a nation, it is poverty. So let's talk about the issues affecting us directly.
Confident that I'll defeat the others and I'll get the post, like considering how I am as a youth, and most of people consider me being a youth, such that we work together.
The United Party for National Development UPND Deputy Youth Spokesperson Phineas Pomolo has called for patience with the new administration on the construction of roads. Addressing members of the press in Western Province Tuesday morning, Mr. Pomolo says allegations from opposition political parties that the new administration has failed in the construction of roads are unfounded. Mr. Pomolo says the new administration is still putting in place various projects considering that it has only been in power for 7 months. UPND party youth officials are in Western Province to engage locals on their expectations from the new administration.
Going around the provinces, showing the bad states of the roads, and he's blaming the UPND government over the bad state of the roads, forgetting that Ambassador Mwamba and the PF, they have been in government for the past 10 years. And they were learning the propaganda machines that PF embarked on a massive road construction across the country. And you can just imagine the level of a person of Mwamba's caliber, whereby forgetting that these are some people who are learning the propaganda machine of PF, saying that the PF have brought massive infrastructure development here in Zambia. But it's the same person who is going around now to show the bad states of the roads here in our country. And those bad states of the road, they were left by PF. PF was in government for 10 years. The Zambian people gave the PF administration an opportunity to govern this country for 10 years. And we have been given the opportunity as UPND to govern this country for 5 years. And we have only been in government for 7 months.
Government has urged the opposition Patriotic Front to stop politicizing the death of the late 4th Republican President, Rupiah Banda. Ministry of Information and Media Director spokesperson Tawa Kawana was reacting to PF Acting Secretary General Nixon Chilangwa's statement claiming that the late president was not evacuated for medical attention. Mr. Kawana tells Camnet News that the country accorded the late president a befitting send-off, hence the need to respect him in death. He says the UPND administration is not reckless to start revealing how many times the late president was evacuated for medical treatment, sometimes using the private presidential challenger.
Patriotic Front should stop playing politics in as far as the welfare, illness and subsequent demise of the late President Rupiah Banda is concerned. We say so because we take great notice of what the PF Secretary General, Mr. Nixon Chilangwa, said, insinuating that the president or the late president died in his house and was not evacuated by government. We want to make it very clear that this government will not divulge personal medical information about any of its citizens, and that includes the late president. However, suffices to state that the late president was accorded a befitting send-off, and even when it came to issues of evacuation, he was given the treatment that is deserving of a former president, and he was evacuated when time arose, and he was also brought back when time arose, and even going to an extent of using the presidential challenger jet to transport the former head of state. So we want to urge the PF to continue on the path and join the rest of the nation of respecting the former head of state even in his death, and avoid politicizing and scandalizing things that are necessary. They must desist from making such reckless and careless comments that may continue to injure the feelings of the family of the late president. Let us allow the family to mourn in peace. Let us allow the soul of our former president to rest in peace.
Finance Minister Dr. Stumbeko Msokotwane has revealed that the government will soon be engaging Zambia's creditors on debt restructuring. Dr. Msokotwane is hoping that the process will be concluded in May 2022, adding that the process is progressing well so far. He says Zambia is in a debt crisis because of overborrowing by the recent past. Speaking at the launch of the multi-annual indicative program by the government and European Union in Lusaka, Dr. Msokotwane requested the European Union to support Zambia when the matter goes to the IMF and the World Bank. Speaking earlier, European Union Ambassador to Zambia and Commissioner Jacek Jankowski has reaffirmed the EU's support to contributing to preserving Zambia's peace and economic stability.
Starting that by getting into a program with the IMF, because we need to talk to the creditors to tell the creditors, we cannot pay you in the manner that we borrowed. So let's rearrange the debts so that as we continue to pay you, we also have money to hold society together. That's the way this thing is being tackled. The first step of that was to get into the IMF staff level agreement, which opened the way for us to be engaging the creditors. So very soon we shall be engaging the people that we owe, so that we come to a resolution of how to restructure this debt. Hopefully by May we should be done with that. So far it looks quite promising. The next step, of course, we go to the IMF board sometime mid-year. And for this, I want to appeal to you as members of the European Union. I know you have a strong voice in the IMF and the World Bank. As our case goes to the IMF and the World Bank, please appeal to you to give Zambia the support that it requires.
The European Union and its member states have a wide and comprehensive dialogue with all actors in the Zambian context and have therefore a broad, common understanding of the key development challenges that Zambia is facing. As a part of the Working Better Together approach, European Union member states have actively participated in defining the priority areas and sectors for the 2021-2027 year and contributed directly to writing the partnership strategy. European Union and its member states are now going a step further and have decided to work under a common indicative framework, a joint programming approach, expanding on the MIP. This joint programming approach will measurably improve effectiveness by enabling greater ownership, transparency, coherence, and accountability.
Government says it has collected domestic revenue amounting to 6.2 billion kwacha during the month of February 2022. Secretary to the Cabinet, Felix Nkolokosa, says of the total amount collected, 4.8 billion kwacha came from taxes, while 1.4 billion kwacha came from non-tax revenue. Mr. Nkolokosa adds that the government had, during the month under review, released 11.1 billion kwacha to finance developmental programs and public service operations. He says the difference between revenues and expenditures was financed from domestic financing and the International Monetary Fund (IMF) special drawing rights allocation. And Mr. Nkolokosa says the payment of arrears by both mining and non-mining companies led to the overperformance in income tax. He says mining tax collections amounted to 349 million kwacha, while non-mining tax collections amounted to 268 million kwacha. A Christian-based non-governmental organization, GOYE, therefore, has suggested that government should consider creating state farms in all the 10 provinces of the country. Addressing members of the press in Livingstone Tuesday, organization country coordinator Maimbola Muliwana says this will be a way of contributing to food security and job creation. Mr. Muliwana says this will also supplement efforts of farmers in ensuring food security in the country amidst the climate change crisis. More in this report.
Expectations on the performance of the economy have been high since the ushering in of the United Party for National Development UPNG administration on 12th August 2021. A Christian-based non-governmental organization, one of whose mandates is to contribute to the country's development, has challenged other players in governance to offer feasible strategies that the new administration should take to achieve the desired transformation. Among the plans for economic transformation as described in the UPNG manifesto is economic recovery, stability, and takeoff. Addressing the media in Livingstone on Tuesday, GOYE therefore country coordinator Mr. Maimbola Muliwana says one way that this can be done is by creating state farms in all 10 provinces of the country. He says apart from creating employment, the state farms will also gain the country the much needed foreign exchange.
Each state farm can focus on crops that are needed locally to supplement food production efforts by local farmers and regionally for export purposes to to generate forex. This shall spark a food production revolution led by the government to the desired agenda. The benefits of this will be poverty alleviation through job creation and sustainable food security. Taiwan is a good example to inspire Zambia in the area of agriculture, especially rice growing. The population of Taiwan is slightly above the population of Zambia. Taiwan is about less than half of southern province in terms of total geographical surface area. Taiwan's agriculture sector is the main reason behind its rapid technological developments.
Mr. Muliwana adds that there is also a need to allocate up to 10% of taxes for natural resources to a natural resources fund to safeguard the welfare of future generations.
The government should consider integrating natural resources management into its national development planning for sustainable development, as this will stimulate and guide various strategies in the area of natural resource management. Like the Norwegian Oil Fund, the government of the Republic of Zambia should consider setting up the Zambia Natural Resources Fund to ensure the responsible and long-term development management of the revenue realized from Zambia's mineral and natural resources wealth to benefit both the now and future generations of the country. This is an effective natural resource conversion strategy.
The country director further adds that there is need for Zambia to form partnerships with countries that are doing well economically and also prioritize creating industries if to make a full economic transformation. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News.
You're watching Camnet TV Main News. We'll take our first commercial break. We'll be back with more news after the break.
We welcome you to the wonderful world of Savenda Electronics.
At Savenda Electronics, we pride ourselves in manufacturing high-quality electricity and water meters.
Boasting of the first of its kind state-of-the-art manufacturing plant in Zambia, Savenda Electronics manufactures customized smart electricity and water meters of international standards for both the local and international water and electricity utility companies. Our highly computerized factory, run by qualified staff, makes, calibrates, and electronically tests the smart meters to ensure only those meeting customer specifications are delivered to the market. Some of the main features which come with our meters includes notifications about low units, tempering, low battery, and many more customized features. Savenda Electronics provides on and off-site after-sales service and has favorable contract terms for water and electricity utility companies. Savenda Electronics, the real deal.
Team, the trajectory of the business looks very positive, and it looks like we'll be able to launch the ministry.
There's so much data.
Mom.
Yes, baby.
It says here, global warming and climate change is caused by the pollution from careless activities of human beings.
Wow!
Son, do you know I can turn my phone into a TV remote?
How's that possible?
It's so easy. Check this out.
Be smart, be fast with mega data from Zamtel. Get your 15 GB mobile data for only 100 kwacha, 30 GB mobile data for only 200 kwacha, and your 70 GB LTE data bundle with free Netflix, YouTube, Facebook, and WhatsApp. Visit our Facebook page, website, or service centers countrywide for more information. Zamtel, your digital lifestyle partner.
Camnet TV is becoming big and better. You can now watch Camnet TV wherever you are around the world, simply by downloading the Camnet TV app. With Camnet TV app, you only use less bundles. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Welcome back. Juba Transport Limited, a company accused of neglecting its employee in a foreign country, has disputed the assertions leveled against it. Wednesday, 16th March 2022, employees of the company abandoned the decomposed body of the late Danny Silwamba at the company premises, accusing management of neglecting their colleague. But company corporate affairs manager Chi Shapiri has told the media at a briefing that the body of the Mr. Silwamba was being held in a mortuary that had no electricity, which led to its decomposing. More in the following report.
Tuesday, the Juba Transport Limited has refuted the allegation of abandoning Mr. Silwamba in a foreign country, contrary to information circulating on some social and mainstream media. According to the company, all necessary procedures followed to repatriate the deceased back to Zambia. Mr. Chishapiri is the corporate director.
Moved from the hospital and was in the course of being brought back to Zambia. Parallel to the information circulating in social media, an additional allegation was being peddled to the effect that management for Juba Transport Limited only cared to bring back the truck Mr. Silwamba was driving instead of focusing on repatriating the body of the deceased. This allegation was unfounded because the paperwork involved in recalling a truck is incomparable to the procedures and documentation for repatriating a deceased person's body. Notwithstanding the procedural challenges, documentation and language barriers which needed to be surmounted, the repatriation team earnestly expedited the repatriation and preparation of the deceased body.
According to the company, it took 6 days to repatriate the body, and this was due to some procedure delays in Mozambique.
All the persons that had caused the accident. So the family wanted to meet them, right? So the police were saying, okay, we'll meet at 14 hours. Tuesday ended. Or we'll meet at in the morning at 9 hours. We couldn't even meet them. Even as we were leaving the place itself, we had actually not met the family itself. They said that the family lives in Shinoy. When we were going past Shinoy, but any arrangements by the police proved to be difficult to move for the family of the deceased to meet the family or the person actually who had actually caused that accident. And that is where there is this insinuation that the police also tried to conceal the person who actually caused the accident. And the family was hurt and was offended because the police could not actually help.
This matter, where we were denied access to them. What we were told is that, well, you pursue it privately, you sort it out yourselves. So we had no access even to the public prosecutor, who would ordinarily have helped us to conclude this whole process of the death.
Going forward, the company has assured its commitment to support the family as regards to benefits. Mr. Silwamba was put to rest in Chingola on 19th March 2022. Alex Shumba, Camnet News, in Lusaka.
Lima Ward Councillor in George Compound of Lusaka's Matero constituency, Daniel Mwewa, says stakeholders should come on board and supplement government's efforts in ensuring that groundwater is protected. In an interview with Camnet News, Mr. Mwewa says communities are prone to contracting waterborne diseases if the water they are taking is not safe. He adds that safe drinking water curbs the spread of waterborne diseases such as cholera and dysentery. Meanwhile, Border Zambia Country Director Laura Senge says it is vital to treat wastewater and solid waste. They said this during the commemoration of the World Water Day under the theme Groundwater Making the Invisible Visible. More in the following report.
World Water Day is observed on March 22nd every year to educate about the importance of water to the whole world and to raise awareness about the water crisis. The day also highlights the necessary improvement for access to water, hygiene facilities, and sanitation in all countries. Water is one of the prime necessity for human needs to survive on Earth. Without an adequate and continuous source of water, life could not exist on Earth. While celebrating World Water Day, Lima Ward Councillor in George Compound of Lusaka's Materos constituency says Stakeholders should come on board and supplement government's effort in ensuring that groundwater is protected.
The importance that all these different stakeholders attaches in ensuring that we protect groundwater, because if we don't protect our water, our communities will be prone to contracting waterborne diseases like cholera, dysentery, typhoid, and others. And as you may be aware, cholera, when it comes, it hits at very bad. So we need to protect this valuable resource at all costs. So no wonder we've called upon all these stakeholders just to come together and talk to each other and see how we are going to continue protecting this valuable resource.
The residents had this to say while he's commemorating the event.
Great to celebrate World Water Day because I'm in here, I'm in here. Yala tupera obumi amenshi yala tukosha mili yetu tusefiri fyonso kwa bulame
tukapunzira pa ground musungira amanzi musungira abana atupunzira bintu bambiri maningi so azimai manyumba tenti samale bana azimuna matoileti musungira pa nyumba kolera ino nje time ya kolera.
Meanwhile, Border Zambia country director says it is vital to treat wastewater and solid waste.
To look at water supply, wastewater treatment, solid waste management, and support community structures. We are very thankful for our partners to be here. From the area MP, the councillor is here, also representatives from LCC and Lusaka Water have been here.
Today, communities across the world are facing acute water shortages. Blessings Chakwila, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Ministry of Community Development and Social Services has alleged that the participation of key stakeholders, especially the citizens, in the budgetary process is key at promoting transparency and accountability. Ministry Director, Planning and Budgeting Mwenda Lubu says this will also contribute to reducing poverty and gender inequalities in the communities. Ms. Lubu, who spoke on behalf of the Ministry Permanent Secretary Beatrice Dako at a media training in Lusaka, says the budgeting process needs to be more consultative and inclusive if it has to be more representative with people's aspirations. She says the media has an important role to play in disseminating the information and creating platforms for deliberations on the national planning and budgeting process.
The media is an important ally, especially in the wake of COVID-19, when visual programming has become the norm. Further, the media has a huge role to play in ensuring that the citizens have access to information. Thus, I would like to urge the media fraternity to be alive to government's commitment and ensure that the masses are educated, informed, and enlightened on national issues in the case of the national budgeting processes and oversight. This will enable citizens to participate fully in the budgeting cycle from formation, enactment, implementation, budget analysis, and tracking. Participation of key stakeholders, especially the citizens in these processes, is key as it promotes transparency, accountability, and contributes to reducing poverty and gender inequalities in the communities.
The Examinations Council of Zambia ECZ Public Relations Manager Nicholas Nkua has dispelled the advert circulating over the recruitment of school certificate examiner trainers, with the deadline being 31st March 2022. Mr. Nkua says ECZ has not advertised any such training for examiners. He has therefore urged all its members and stakeholders to disregard the advert that is circulating on social media. Teachers have also been cautioned to be alert when such information is circulated and to always verify with ECZ to avoid being defrauded by unscrupulous individuals.
So there is a fake advert that is circulating on some social media platforms requesting teachers to apply for the school certificate examiner training with a deadline of 31st March 2022. As Examinations Council of Zambia, we wish to put it on record that we have not advertised any such training for examiners. And so we urge all our stakeholders to disregard this fake advert circulating on social media. And we advise further that should the need arise for us to train examiners, we shall communicate through the established structures in the Ministry of Education at provincial, at district, and at school levels. We also urge our teachers to avoid falling for information that is unverified. And so they need to always verify information with ECZ on any matters regarding the business that we conduct as Examinations Council of Zambia.
We'll take a break. We'll be back with international and sports news.
Your skin is the biggest muscle in your body. That's why we make sure that Oracle is #1 when it comes to taking care of your precious skin. Oracle Pure Petroleum Jelly and Glycerin soothes, moisturizes and keeps your skin perfect. Oracle Pure Petroleum products for that perfect skin.
SOVENDA. Save nations, develop Africa. Connecting African countries to each other and connecting the African continent to the world. This logistics and global supply chain management group offers end-to-end solutions across all sectors of the economy: agriculture, energy, telecommunications, finance, construction, transportation, and insurance. And now, its initiatives are greener than ever, operating in line with government guidelines and working to provide energy security for Zambia and beyond. 25 companies united under one group and one vision. SOVENDA. Trade and logistics made easy.
Do you have an extra car? Then make yourself extra money. We would like to put that car, yes, that car parked there, to good use to make you extra money on the side just through its service while keeping it safe and secure. Call 0765 02 3883 to register your vehicle with us today. Delpo Services. Service beyond satisfaction.
Welcome back. Severe drought risks pushing nearly half of Somali children under 5 into acute malnutrition this year, with hundreds of thousands needing life-saving treatment, according to the United Nations, which called for urgent action. The country is going through its worst drought in 40 years. More than 500,000 farmers and herders have lost their crops and animals. For more, here's a roundup of international news.
This is what Somalia's drought has done to this 3-year-old boy. His father, Abdullahi Abdi Mohammed, was a farmer until all his crops died. Last month, they joined hundreds of thousands of people who were leaving their homes for makeshift camps. But there wasn't enough food or water in the camp either.
I left my wife in the camp. She was also sick. I have been here for 14 days with my son in the hospital, and he is slowly making recovery day after day.
The UN says more than 1 million children are malnourished, a third of them severely, after the last 3 rainy seasons failed. Crops and animals have been wiped out. Children are among the most vulnerable. The luckier ones get medical help. Across southern Somalia, therapeutic feeding centres are full, like this one in the town of Luke. Somalia's had famines before. Dr. Shukri Hussein Abdi says she's never seen anything like this. She works here for the Irish charity Trocare.
This drought is more serious than other droughts in Somalia. Because when we see the admitted patients before other years, according to the registers and data, we saw this is more severe than the others.
Most people here herded animals and grew crops on the banks of the rivers until they dried up.
This goat was somebody's means to survival. The livestock can eat what little grows on the thorny bushes and turn it into milk, meat and income. Now carcasses are scattering this whole area. People say first the crops died. When the animals died too, they had no choice but to walk here to the edge of the town and set up a camp.
People use what they can to shelter from the dust and the sun. conditions aren't good. Many children here need help, but humanitarian agencies say they have less than 3% of the money they need. Any help is too late for Hado Daro Isaac's daughter and her 4 grandchildren, who she says all died on the way here.
The children died while we were walking. We did not have any kind of transport. If only we had transport, they would have survived. We could not get food or water, so they could not walk. That's why they died.
Nobody's even counted how many malnourished children have already died. The next rains are due in April. Help is needed now.
The images were heartbreaking. 5 years ago, thousands killed, hundreds of thousands forced to flee to neighboring Bangladesh. The stories they told of indiscriminate killing, rape, and arson. Now the United States has given a name to what the world witnessed: genocide and crimes against humanity, promising $1 million to help investigators gather the evidence.
Efforts are moving forward, not only at the International Court of Justice, but also through the International Criminal Court and through the domestic courts of Argentina in a case brought under universal jurisdiction. The day will come when those responsible for these appalling acts will have to answer for them.
And the U.S. Secretary of State seemed to link the attack against the Rohingyas to the coup and the violence the military continues to inflict on its citizens, which experts say could have an impact.
It means that there's going to be accountability for what they're doing now. Now, this may matter to some of the generals. It may not matter to Min Aung Hlaing, because I think his days are numbered. But it may matter to plenty of the others, and it may encourage more defections.
At the United Nations Monday, warnings that it is getting worse.
I regret to inform you that since my last report to this council, the human rights situation in Myanmar has not only failed to improve, it has deteriorated significantly. In fact, the Myanmar junta's war against the people of Myanmar has intensified. More than 1,600 civilians have now been killed by the junta, nearly 10,000 arbitrarily detained, more than 500,000 have been displaced.
The U.S. designation is likely a signal that they will look to place more sanctions on the leaders of Myanmar in the coming months. It also sends the message to Western companies that they should rethink doing business in Myanmar. Just one step in what will likely be a long and uncertain path to justice. Patty Culhane, Al Jazeera, Washington.
We now have some sports news. And now in sports news, Zambia National Wheelchair Basketball President Jeffrey Vene says the reason why wheelchair basketball is underperforming in Zambia is because of inadequate equipment. Revealing in an interview with Camnet Sports, Vene says wheelchair basketball is less popular in Zambia because the sports discipline has not been given the attention it deserves. Vene says there is need to revamp the sport discipline in the country, stating that people should desist from associating wheelchair basketball to begging.
Not paid attention to. Probably reasons not well known, but we've come up, we want to revamp. Wheelchair basketball in Zambia started way back in 1997, if I can remember well. But it has never been popular. Reasons, there are so many reasons. One of the major reasons, or one of the main reasons, lack of sports wheelchair. Believe me, we have a lot of teams. When you go to Mazabuka, just Mazabuka here, we have a team. When you go to Livingstone, we have a team. When you go to Wapula Mambirima, we have a team. But I'll tell you one thing. We lack sponsors, wheelchairs. Our people are not covered. Even when you call upon journalists to come and cover any event, we are not considered.
As we end the news, the headlines once again. Given Lubinda geared for court proceedings in his corruption case. Speaker of the National Assembly urged for expelling PF MPs. Government exhibits policy inconsistency on street vending. In international news, hunger crisis threatens half of Somalia's young children. And in sports news, wheelchair basketball underperforming in Zambia because of inadequate equipment. We now look at the Camnet verse for the day, which is coming from Malachi 1 verse 6. A son honors his father, and a servant his master. But if I am a father, where is my honor? And if I am a master, where is your fear of me? Says Yahweh of hosts to you priests who despise my name. Yet you ask, how have we despised your name? Thank you for watching Camnet TV Main News. My name is Jeffrey Ziambo, and have a lovely evening.